If you struggle speaking up for yourself, especially with family members, this video will be life-changing for you. If when interfacing with a family member who's more on the selfish, inconsiderate side of the spectrum, your body gets very tight, they keep piling up responsibilities on you, you do all this amazing work and they don't even show appreciation. Subsequently, you feel angry, you feel mad, your priorities get so messed up, you start to feel even this raw sensation in your stomach. Definitely not pleasant. You feel frustrated with the way they are uncaring of your life and energy. You feel like you're never good enough for them, no matter what you do. And your voice chokes up every time they call your phone. You literally sound different. You sound stiff, weak, and defensive when you're speaking to them. Your chest tightens, your throat feels smaller, and your thoughts get cloudy and spiraling. Suddenly, you're not the confident version of you that you know to be your truth. You're not the version of you that is calm and collected, and you're not the version of you that is chilled out and acts based on your own values. If you or someone you know has ever experienced this, I'm here to let you know you're not alone. Unfortunately, this is common, and there are deeper reasons why it happens. This is not about confidence or communication skills. It's survival patterns that were built years ago that created a deeper emotional imprint. But here's the good news, the really good news. As you're listening to the story and insights I'm about to share, you might feel more connected to yourself. You might feel clearer in your mind, and the way you use your voice will feel more comfortable. You will finally understand why your voice changes around certain people, and awareness is the first step to transformation. If this is your first time here, I'm your favorite holistic voice coach, Hoss. I help people go from socially anxious to socially confident through healing their voice physically and psychologically at the root cause. I invite you to join my free program, link in the description, to learn the foundations for a healthy voice. And if that sounds like a good deal, please smash the like and subscribe button, and let's dive in. A dear person who shall remain anonymous, will call him Ron. He found my videos around vocal confidence, and he was struggling with his voice tightening up in social situations, especially around his older brother. By himself, he feels peace and confidence. When his brother calls his phone, his tone would thin out. His sentences would be shortened. He would begin to over-explain himself in an ungrounded manner. Watching my videos, he started to realize that there are more aspects to the social anxiety than just our voice. His body was remembering something. And here is where it gets interesting. Little Ron grew up thinking, why does my brother treat me that way? His brother was dominant, critical, and constantly dismissive. Nothing that would make headlines, nothing extreme, but consistently negative. Teasing, interrupting, correcting him in front of others, making him feel slightly smaller over and over again. And when you're a child, you don't have the capacity to say, hey, this dynamic is unhealthy. You adapt to this unhealthy reality. So what did little Ron do? He learned to shrink his tone. He learned to monitor his words. He learned to speak carefully. He learned that safety equals staying small, staying hidden, staying silent. Unfortunately, the body memorized that pattern into adulthood. Because the voice is deeply connected to the vagus nerve, when you feel unsafe, your throat tightens. Your tone rises, your breath shortens. It's not weakness, it's protection. So how do we actually change this? Is this even changeable? Well, it certainly is, but it isn't about taking another assertiveness course. It's not about rehearsing what to say before you say it. And it's not about forcing yourself to breathe deeply in the moment. All these skills are important, but there's a deeper aspect that creates a more lasting, more sustainable, and comfortable change. We revisited the younger version of Ron that felt constantly dismissed, corrected, and overshadowed by his brother. Not to re-traumatize him, but to bring him support, reinforcement, and healing. This is what creates deep, long-lasting neurological shift. I guided Ron into a deeper brainwave state where he can access more of his unconscious mind and memories. I invited him to start communicating with 14-year-old Ron, I asked, what does he need to hear from you now? Ron told me, I just want to sit beside him, comfort him, and hug him. Tell him I'm here. Things will be okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be mad. Just by doing this little communication at a deeper state, his body began to feel a sense of peace, love, and lightness. He continued to tell 14-year-old Ron, it's okay to be present with your feelings. You're not alone. You're not to blame. It's not personal. It's not about you. It's about them and their capacity and their skills. You are okay. As Ron was journeying through this exercise, his voice began to release. He started to sound a little bit more comfortable as he's speaking. But the truth is, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. You see, Ron shared with me that there's still that sense of heaviness that he really hates to feel. And when I asked him what that sense of heaviness was communicating to him, he mentioned that there's a sense of failure looming around. What if I'm not good enough? What if I disappoint people? Well, that could be a good topic for another video, and you can let me know in the comments your thoughts on that. But we stuck with the process. We continued the reparenting. We continued to bring the support, the resources, the enforcement, and the healing to younger versions of Ron until completion. When the inner child feels supported by the adult self, the nervous system stops preparing for danger. You're no longer speaking from the 8-year-old or the 14-year-old who learned to shrink. You're speaking from the grounded adult who knows he is safe. The grounded adult knows that other adults are to be seen and treated as responsible beings. They don't need your people-pleasing to survive. They certainly don't need your rescuing to regulate their emotions. They can go to therapy, they can ask for help. After all, the skill of communication is available to them as adults. Ron mentions to me that as he's doing this work consistently, he feels like he's opening up more socially. And with the vocal exercise that we do, he can see a difference in the tone and strength of his voice. I will link those videos in the description, and I will link them at the end of the video as well, so you can practice them and feel the relief for yourself. But more importantly, he understands what's happening. When his brother calls his phone now, his system feels more and more stable compared to before. When his brother speaks sharply, he no longer collapses internally. He notices the triggers are becoming less and less intense, and he's realizing that he has clarity of mind. He's able to make more composed decisions. You see, the dynamic is slowly shifting by doing the deeper work without having to study all the external skills. Not that they're not important, but they are more effective when they are built on top of a strong foundation. Ron is now enjoying a steadier voice, a stronger tone, and his words became fewer, but said with more conviction. Here's the powerful part. When your 8-year-old self starts to get their psychological needs met and they feel calm and secure, your adult self starts speaking with a voice that is more grounded and composed. Your tone carries weight and your presence carries peace. That is the deeper and more sustainable work. If you resonate with Ron's story, start by paying attention this week. Who does your voice shrink around? And when that happens, what age do you feel in your body when it happens? Because awareness is the first step towards transformation. But then you look around at other people and wonder, what about all these people who seem so confident? Did they do all the healing work? Did they not have trauma? Or they're just hiding it so well? This is a question I've had for a long time, and it requires a nuanced answer. The answer is two-part. First, not everyone experienced the same amount of positive and negative emotional conditioning. Some people grew up in environments where their voice was welcomed. Disagreements didn't equal rejection, and expression didn't equal danger. Of course, their nervous system learned that it's safe to speak. The second part is a very unique aspect depending on someone's personality and natural tendencies. When children experience the emotional pressure growing up, they usually adapt in one of two ways. They either stifle their expression or they become overly active in their expression. One becomes quiet, careful, and unproductively contained, and one becomes loud, reactive, and unproductively dominant. Both are adaptations. Both are protection. There are two ends of the same spectrum. The healthy middle is the regulated confidence. It's more grounded. It's not performative. It's authentic. It's steady, it's embodied, and it doesn't need to prove anything. This reminds me of the work of Robert Moore, one of my favorite books, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. It's inspired by the work of Carl Jung and the archetypes. The book claims that as human beings we have this quadrated psyche. Archetype of king, archetype of warrior, archetype of magician, and archetype of lover. In that framework, every archetype has two shadows, an overactive shadow and an underactive shadow. The magician is the archetype of insight, knowledge, and strategy. It has an underactive shadow known as the silent type, and has an overactive shadow known as the manipulator. The silent type is one who withdraws, one who withholds their voice, observes but doesn't express. Not because lack of intelligence, but because expression did not feel safe. On the other side, the overactive one, the manipulator, expression becomes chaotic, manipulative, and inflated. So when you see someone who seems confident in an uncanny way, you're not just seeing volume, you're seeing an adaptation, a protection. Some confident people did the healing work, some were raised in an emotionally safe homes, some are compensating loudly, and some are genuinely regulated. Each individual is a mixture of all of these. It all comes down to this question: what do you want to be more of? Who do you want to be more of? Because real confidence isn't about how charismatic you are in a fleeting moment. It's about how steady and comfortable you are within yourself. As you're listening to this, you may be realizing something. Your stifled voice is not about weakness. It's just protecting you. It learned to adjust. It learned to survive. It learned to stay safe in environments where safety wasn't always guaranteed. That's a form of intelligence. But now you have more resources, and you need to reassure that child, that younger child, that you have more resources and that this child is safe. And that is the real shift. It's not only about doing vocal exercises. Of course, you need the body and the mind together. They cannot be separated. The way I help people transform most sustainably is doing vocal exercises combined with this level of psychological healing. It's about becoming someone your younger self would have felt safe around. So anytime you feel like you want to shrink or disappear, it's not because you're weak. It's because there's a younger part of you that needs your attention, that needs support, reinforcement, and healing. You get to change that. You have the power to change that. Not by fighting, not by shaming, not by forcing, but by becoming the steady, calm presence your younger self needed. You would benefit a lot from becoming your own protector, your own best friend, and your own nurturer. Begin to advocate for yourself within yourself. Begin to be kind to yourself and all your memories, all the versions of you in your past memories. So now I encourage you to invite younger you. Sit beside them, listen to them, feel what they're feeling, observe their thoughts. No judgment, no fighting, no shame, no blame, no changing. Allow them to breathe in your presence and offer kind advice, offer support. Tell them that you're sorry. Tell them how proud you are of them. And tell them how old you are now and how much resources you have compared to before. And notice how they feel. Notice what shifts in them. Continue this practice. This is where true wisdom comes from connecting with yourself. The more you connect with yourself, the more present you become in your day-to-day life, and the more wise you become and calm when you're making decisions. If you'd like to do a deeper healing session, I invite you to watch this next one over here, where I guide you through it step by step. Does your voice clamp up when you're ordering food in a restaurant? Maybe you're hanging out with your family and friends. Do you feel that nervousness when you notice people are starting to look at you and it's your turn to order? Your voice shakes,